The Senate has agreed to advance a bill to end the government shutdown. Joining us to discuss is Bryan Leib, a political strategist and CEO of Henry Public Relations. And we have George Carrillo, former Democratic candidate for governor of Oregon and former director of social determinants of health for Oregon. So, of course, good to have you both. Bryan, I'll start with you today. 7 Democrats broke party lines, voted for the bill. This is a procedural vote. And Senate Majority Leader John Thune promised that the Senate will take up a vote on extending the Affordable Care Act subsidies later this year. So that's the overall gist of what happened. Bryan, what are your initial thoughts?
Well, as someone that felt this government shutdown pain personally on Saturday trying to get home at the airport, I can tell you that I'm very happy that several Senate Democrats have decided to vote along with their Republican colleagues to reopen the government. At the end of the day, our politicians, whether they're on the left or the right, they were not the ones that were feeling the pain of this government shutdown. It was us, the American people, that felt the pain. And so I'm very happy that you have quite a bit of Senate Democrats that are willing to cross party lines to reopen the government. But I think once we get through this, if I'm being honest with you and with the audience, we've got to find a way to stop governing in this country from one continuing resolution to another, because these situations, they happen every single time. So bottom line, very happy to see Democrats and Republicans coming together to reopen the government.
Right. I think a lot of people would agree with you on the CR point, Bryan. So, George, now let me go to you. How do you feel about the current situation as it stands?
Well, I'm disappointed in the Democratic Party. We had our biggest win last week where we swept the elections on Tuesday night. And then here, Senator Schumer proposed, I think, a good compromise on the ACA subsidies on Friday. And we didn't allow for enough time for negotiations to further. And Democrats caved, the ones that voted yes on this. So it's a double-edged sword for me because, yes, it's great that we're opening up the government, but also, too, the Democratic Party, they came out and said, Senator King came out today and said, that they can win against Trump. And so this is the outcome. So what was the point of these past 40 days of this government shutdown?
Okay, so Bryan, what do you think about what George said? He sort of, raised the point that perhaps Democrats caved in this situation. What do you think ultimately persuaded the 7 Democrats to vote for this bill?
Well, with respect to my co-panelists, I think it's very unfortunate that someone is saying that they're not happy that the government is reopening. The fact that some of his Democratic colleagues in the Senate decided to cross party lines shows that bipartisanship still exists in this country. And I think that's a pretty positive thing for all of us to be happy about and be hopeful about, especially in the world of politics in America where everything is very divisive. But listen, for the Senate Democrats that decided to cross party lines and make a deal with Republicans, I give them an enormous amount of credit for stepping up and doing the right thing for the American people, regardless of their party. It was the right thing for every politician, regardless of being a Democrat or Republican, to do the right thing for the American people, to find a way to come to some kind of compromise and reopen the government.
So, George, didn't Democrats get a stopgap funding measure rather than a full fiscal year funding package? Because it buys Democrats more time to negotiate, right? By not locking into a full year package right now.
Right, but right now what's going to be compromised is those ACA subsidies. What's disappointing in this matter is that there's going to be about 20 million Americans that may possibly lose their health care. So we're talking about less accessibility. This was the right fight to have. Republicans were not negotiating with Democrats. And so we were standing strong on these healthcare subsidies. The president was trying to use not paying SNAP benefits as one of his tactics to put more pressure on the Democratic Party. The courts came in and said that Trump was overreaching like he has been. And so right here, where the disappointing point for myself and for the Democratic Party is that we're not really having compromises. This is a tug and war situation right now that's happening. And in the end, it's still going to be Americans that are going to lose out. Remember, there's going to be about 20 million people that are going to lose their health care. That is not a win in reopening the government.
Okay, Bryan, do you think this bill addressed concerns on both sides of the aisle?
Well, I think the very kind of definition of compromise means that both sides are going to lose a little and both sides are going to win a little. So in a situation like we have right now, that's what happened. There's some things that Republicans wanted, there's some things that Democrats wanted, and both sides didn't get it, and they had to meet in the middle, and they had to compromise. But I want to just come back to the earlier point that I made. I mean, the fact that in 2025 and going on almost 250 years of our great country being in existence, that we're still governing from one CR to another, one crisis, to another. Really got to find a way to do this better. Because trust me, the American people, regardless if you're, a Republican like myself or a Democrat like my colleague here, I don't think any of us are very happy to see grown men and women not being able to come to terms, for deals like this. So. Yeah, I think it's a bigger issue in terms of how we're funding the government and the kind of money that we're spending in the first place. But bottom line is, I'm pretty happy that our government's hopefully going to be reopening very soon.
So, George, maybe you can address what Bryan said about going from one CR to the next.
So right now, our system of government right now isn't working for the American people. It's not about which side is losing. It's about the American people that are losing. We're seeing the top 1% get richer, and we're seeing the middle class and below really lose out on opportunities. We're seeing a weakened economy. We're seeing the U.S. dollar being weakened. There's a lot of things that are happening right now that we're not addressing, and the people that are losing out are not the politicians. It's us. It's the American people that are losing out. So we really do need to look at our system of government, having a better checks and balance in our system, and being able to really compromise with each other and having conversations. The behavior of the House and what they've been doing by sending everybody home and not having conversations and figuring out how do we end this government shutdown and just keeping everybody home is not compromise. That's not good governance. And also on the Democratic Party too. They stood their ground and then they folded. And so now you look back at what was the point of the last 40 days? Why did we even go through this? I think both parties here are to blame. And we do need a better system of governance, but we need to start electing new people that understand the way governance should happen and how we need to proceed, and having conversations of each bill.
But George, Democrats did get a promise from John Thune that they're going to take up the ACA at a later date.
And we know right now that there's no votes in the Senate, that it's not going to pass. They didn't want to have a conversation about it while the government was shut down. Why are they now going to pass, these ACH credits now? Republicans have not proposed any new plan in creating better accessibility to healthcare for millions of Americans. So it doesn't bring me, the only thing that this does is going to put Republicans on the record of how they voted on this single action. And that's it. And still, at the end of the day, we're going to see millions of people lose out on accessibility to healthcare.
So Bryan, what do you think about the vote that was promised on ACA? How do you think that's going to go in the future?
I mean, we'll see. I mean, I think everyone's trying to negotiate in good faith right now. But listen, at the end of the day, the American people and the tens of thousands of people, the hundreds of thousands of troops that have been without pay now for over 35 days, they're the ones that are going to benefit from this. And again, have to go back to the fact that, this is a compromise. So there's things that the right wanted, the left wanted, both sides are not getting everything that they wanted. And they have to reach a compromise to reopen our government. And at the end of the day, it's the American people that are going to benefit from the government being reopened. So, I unfortunately don't share the opinion of my friends here, and I'm pretty happy that the government's reopening, and I think it shows that bipartisanship is still alive in this country. And I'm sorry that you're disappointed in your Democrats for not holding the line, but at the end of the day, I think the Democrats that decided to cross party lines are doing the right thing for the American people.
George, how do you respond to Bryan saying that bipartisanship is still well and alive in America today?
I don't believe it's not, because I don't know what Republicans didn't get. They voted on a bill and nothing has changed from that bill. The only thing that's changed now is that we're going to have SNAP funded. So when we go through this exercise again, in the end of June, they're not going to be able to use SNAP benefits for hostage how they did in this situation. So if we want to have better compromise, let's start playing by some fair rules and not putting this political pressure on the people like our federal employees who were also laid off during this time. The president took advantage of the situation. He has been able to keep funding mass immigration, keeping ICE paid for, but somehow doesn't have money to pay Americans who are going hungry every day through this government shutdown. He has played dirty politics in this. And Democrats at this point couldn't figure out how to continue to battle the president and come up with accessible access to healthcare. And so this right now, we'll see in the midterm elections how voters will vote. But I don't believe compromise is happening right now. It's political pressure that's happening.
But George, the bill prevents federal workers from layoffs, which is something that President Trump wanted to do, right, during the shutdown. Do you see this as a concession on the Republicans' part?
That's a small concession. I think, no matter what, the president's still going to try to continue to lay off employees. And we're only talking about the employees that he laid off during the shutdown. We're not talking about the hundreds of thousands of people that have already been laid off since he's taken office. So the government already has shrank. We're talking about a few hundred people that have lost their job during this shutdown. He's not going to be able to do again. But we'll see what happens, the next time we go through this exercise towards the end of June. We'll see if Republicans are actually willing to have that compromise and prevent another shutdown from happening.
Okay, Bryan, we just have a bit of time left. If you have any final thoughts you would like to share right now.
I just want to address a comment that he made in that House Republicans and House Democrats were sent home by the Speaker. House Republicans have voted countless times now to reopen the government, so there's really nothing respectfully that they can be doing by sitting in Washington D.C. right now. So I think it's better, honestly, that they're back in their districts and they're doing things to meet with their constituents than sitting in Washington and doing nothing. And just in closing, again, I've said this, I think, 2 or 3 times now. This shows that there is bipartisanship that still is alive in this country. I applaud the Senate Democrats that cross party lines to make this happen. And listen, I think at the end of the day, if there's issues that are going to benefit the American people, the Republicans stand ready to tackle them head on. And everything in politics is always going to be a compromise.
Well, I think both of you presented your own arguments very well. Bryan, George, thank you very much for sharing.
Thank you.